Jung Il-woo's unforgettable wedding surprise for Dara, a love story beyond fame. Just when fans thought they had seen everything, Jung Il-woo once again proved why he might be the most unexpected, and perhaps most deeply loving, husband in all of Korean entertainment. What he did for Dara, his longtime friend turned wife, left not only her, but everyone around them in tears. It wasn't a grand gesture meant for headlines. It was a quiet act of love so intimate, so pure, that it shook even the most jaded hearts. This wasn't just a love story. It was a homecoming of the soul. A fairy tale wedding in the Philippines. Their official wedding was already the stuff of dreams. Set against the breathtaking backdrop of the Philippines, the ceremony took place under a canopy of white orchids, kissed by ocean winds, and blessed by a small group of close friends and family. For nearly 2 decades, fans had followed their journey, from silent companionship to whispered rumors, and finally to open love. When news of their wedding broke, it sent waves across the entertainment industry and captured hearts worldwide. Dara, once dubbed the eternal princess of K-pop, had always lived her life under a microscope. Yet she maintained a quiet elegance, rarely letting the public in on her private struggles. Jung Il-woo, known for his introspective charm and gentle demeanor, had always been her silent anchor. Their love, hidden in plain sight for years, had finally come to bloom. The outpouring of love from around the globe. After their wedding, the congratulations came flooding in, and not just the typical floral arrangements or generic congratulatory notes. We're talking about full-scale adoration from the entire entertainment world. Global stars, major agencies, fashion houses, and industry veterans all celebrated their union. Luxury brands sent couture outfits worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Agencies scrambled to offer multi-year endorsement deals for couple campaigns. BTS's RM reportedly sent a signed original art piece. Dara's former bandmates, Seal Bao and Miney, wrote her a private letter sealed in black silk. International stars like Blackpink's Lisa and actor Lee Jong-suk contributed personal memorabilia, tokens of sincere affection. Tributes poured in from Hong Kong, Tokyo, Paris, Los Angeles. There was no mistaking it. Dara and Jung Il-woo's marriage was not just a union of 2 stars, it was a cultural moment. Dara received all this with the same poise and humility she always had, bowing in gratitude, smiling through it all. But Jung Il-woo saw something more. The cracks beneath the smile. To the world, Dara looked radiant. But Jung Il-woo, her husband, saw the tiny cracks beneath her polished facade. He noticed how she lingered just a little too long over a letter from her cousin. How her eyes shimmered with something deeper than joy after video calling her brother. The heavy sigh she let out when she thought no one was looking. She wasn't unhappy. Far from it. She was loved, cherished, respected. But something was missing. Something fame, fortune, and fanfare could never replace. And Jung Il-woo, who had loved her in silence for years, knew exactly what it was. She needed her roots. Planning the impossible. While the rest of the world was busy celebrating the fairy tale, Jung Il-woo was quietly laying the foundation for a surprise no one could have expected. He reached out to Dara's family, every last relative still living in the Philippines. Her aunts, uncles, cousins, childhood friends, even distant relatives she hadn't seen in over a decade. Without telling her, he arranged for them all to fly to South Korea. He rented out a traditional Hanok estate in the countryside, a secluded and tranquil place away from the city's chaos and media attention. He orchestrated everything: flights, accommodations, food, translators, music. He recreated aspects of Dara's childhood in the decor. He had old family photographs restored and framed. He collaborated with Dara's brother to curate a playlist of songs from their youth. He even secretly learned a few lines of Cebuano, Dara's native language. This wasn't a PR stunt. This wasn't for headlines or social media. This was for her. For the little girl who had left everything behind to chase a dream. For the woman who had built a legacy at the cost of her own sense of home. The day she came home. He told Dara they were going away on a private retreat, just the 2 of them. A getaway to unwind after the whirlwind wedding. She agreed, unaware of what lay ahead. As they arrived at the Hanok, she noticed the quietness. No staff, no press, no noise. Just the sound of the wind and the scent of pine. But when she stepped through the wooden gate, her breath caught in her throat. There, in the courtyard, stood her family. Not just her mother and brother, but her childhood cousins. The aunt who used to braid her hair. The uncle who taught her to sing. Her neighbors, her childhood best friend. Some were already crying. Others simply stood still, arms open. Dara fell to her knees, her face collapsing into tears. It wasn't just a surprise, it was a reunion she never dared dream of. Her voice cracked as she called out names she hadn't spoken in years. She hugged each one, clinging as if afraid they might vanish. Decades of stardom faded in an instant. She was no longer the K-pop icon. She was just Sandara. A daughter. A niece. A cousin. A little girl who came home. A second wedding, a sacred one. And then Jung Il-woo took her hand and led her to the center of the courtyard. There, her family had prepared a second ceremony. No cameras. No designers. Just tradition, love, and memory. A village elder from Dara's hometown officiated. Her brother walked her down the aisle, this time in traditional Filipino attire. Her mother spoke a blessing in her native tongue, words Dara hadn't heard in such a sacred setting since childhood. This ceremony was not for the world. It was for her. For the roots she had lost. For the healing she didn't know she needed. And in the silence that followed, Jung Il-woo looked into her eyes and said softly, "You are my wife, but you were their daughter, their pride, long before you were ever mine. I didn't just marry you. I married everything that made you. And I want to carry that with us always." The collapse and the healing. Dara sobbed uncontrollably. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming flood of emotion, memory, grief, love, homecoming, healing. She clung to her mother, danced with her cousins, reminisced with her uncle about the mango tree behind their house. 4 hours, she wasn't a celebrity. She was Sandara again. Il-woo stood quietly at first, watching her. He had imagined she would cry, maybe smile, maybe whisper a thank you. But he wasn't prepared for the tidal wave that came. The way she trembled, the way her face changed, no longer poised and perfect, but raw and real. She turned to him through her tears and whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" He walked closer, brushed a tear from her cheek, and said the only thing that mattered, "Because you've carried so many people your whole life. Just once, I wanted to carry you." That broke her all over again, and broke him too. A night by the fire. That evening, they sat around a fire. The family shared food, laughter, stories. Dara leaned her head on Il-woo's shoulder and whispered, "I thought the wedding in the Philippines was the best day of my life. But this was the day my soul came home." Jung Il-woo, who had always kept his emotions under control, turned to her with tears in his eyes and said, "Then I've done something right." They didn't need cameras. They didn't need likes or hashtags. Their silence, surrounded by family and belonging, was louder than any applause. And in that quiet moment, the real vow was made. The truest vow. For all the magazine covers and red carpets the world would see, the real love story was here. In a courtyard, beneath an old wooden roof, with no makeup or glitter, just two people who had chosen each other in the most sacred way. Not with diamonds, but with roots. Not with extravagance, but with presence. And in the end, the vow to protect each other's truths, histories, scars, and dreams, was the truest vow of all.